This evening it's my pleasure to present to you the three Newcastle players who have been chosen in the Australian Rugby Union Wallaby side to tour South Africa later this year. On my left are the two Newcastle players who have already represented Australia on this recent tour of New Zealand, and on my right a new Wallaby, Michael Jenkinson. I'd like to congratulate all you three fellows on this selection. It must be a big thrill. Philip Hawthorne, do you feel that the tour of New Zealand improved your football?
I feel that I improved immensely, yes, Brian.
I see.
Playing in a higher class and with better players, I think you can't help but improve.
And naturally, you're looking forward to this tour.
Oh, my word.
And there's one question I would like to ask you. We have two very fine scrum halves playing inside you. Do you prefer to play with one more than with the other?
No, to tell you the truth, it doesn't matter to me who I play with, Catchpole or McMullen. They're both very good halfbacks, very quick off the mark, throw a good straight pass, and I feel that we've got the best pair of halfbacks in the world.
And who is likely to be your opposition 5/8 for Africa? Would you know in the tests?
Keith Oxley, Brian. He's likely to be the captain of the Springbok side too.
So it looks as though he'll be a man of plenty of experience you'll be facing.
Yes, well,
He's wishing you lots of luck against him. And Keith Walsham, how do you feel about the New Zealand tour? Did it improve your football?
Yes, I think so, Brian. Mainly from the point of view of confidence that it does give you in playing against class footballers.
And early in the trial matches, they tell me the wet field didn't help your style of play. You're a fast runner. What about this 60-yard dash last week in Sydney? Was that one that you felt was necessary to gain selection?
Oh, well, actually, the wet weather provided a blanket for an injury that I was nursing, so it was quite fortunate in a way. I had sore ligaments in the right ankle, and Saturday's burst was just a do-or-die effort. Much later, and any form at all would have been no use.
Well, it must have been very spectacular. Congratulations, and I hope you can repeat it often in Africa.
Thank you.
And now on my right is the new Wallaby, Michael Jenkinson. And Michael, congratulations to you. This must be a big thrill. How long have you been in Newcastle?
I've been here since last November, Brian.
You came from Sydney?
Yes, I'd been with the Eastern Suburbs Club in Sydney in the 4 previous seasons.
I see. And you would probably be the lightest forward on the Australian side. You're a hooker, aren't you?
Yes, I think I would be the lightest forward, Brian.
Mm-hmm. And do you feel that that's any disadvantage to you?
No, not really. The most successful side to visit South Africa in recent years was the French team in 1958. Their hooker, Jean de Gregario, was one of the architects of that victory, and he only weighed 12 stone, so others have done it before, so I'm not that worried.
The main thing is to be fit, I should say.
Yeah, you have to be fit against the type of player we'll be playing against.
And when you came to Newcastle, did you have any hopes that you might first of all represent Newcastle and then represent Australia? Do you think it was a possibility?
No, I didn't consider it, Brian.
When did you start considering you had a chance?
When I was picked in the combined country squad, had a short-lived hope. I was dropped again the week after when they chose 2 New South Wales teams, and then got the shock of my life, and I came back into consideration when I was picked in the rest side to play Australia.
Well, you went pretty well against Johnson down in Sydney, apparently.
I held my own, I suppose.
All right, well, we won't tax you on your modesty on that, but I would like to say it's nice having you in, Phil, and Keith, you've been in twice before, but it's nice to have you again, and nice to have you too, Michael. And I hope when you come back from this tour that you'll come in and regale us with some of your adventures over there, and I hope tell us all about your success in the test. But once again, congratulations, and best of luck to the three of you on the tour of South Africa.
Senator McClelland, as Secretary of this investigating committee, what was your original intention?
The original intention was to inquire into the method in which news was disseminated throughout the nation, either by way of newspaper, television production and radio stations.
There was some dissatisfaction, wasn't there?
There was general dissatisfaction expressed at a meeting of the Federal Parliamentary Labor Party, and it was unanimously agreed that a committee of 7 should be set up to inquire into news dissemination generally.
How long have you been going?
We have been sitting since last October, and we expect our inquiries to be completed and the report presented to the Federal Parliamentary Party before next August.
Of course, until there's a report, I realise you can't say much, but have you been getting anywhere with it?
We have taken evidence from a considerable number of people, members of the general public, newspaper men generally, and next month we will be approaching the Newspaper Proprietors Council to see whether they're interested in volunteering to give evidence to us.
I say, have you found any causes of dissatisfaction?
To date, I think it would be fair to say that the overwhelming evidence presented to us is that there is considerable dissatisfaction with the way news generally, not only political news, but general news, is presented to the public at large.
Dissatisfaction by who?
Dissatisfaction by general members of the public who have come forward, dissatisfaction represented to us by members, by employees in the industry and representatives of the trade union movement.
And do you think the report will achieve anything?
I feel that the report will be a very effective report when presented to the party, and when the Federal Parliamentary Labor Party does occupy the Treasury benches, something tangible will flow from the report.
main controversy on the selection of this Newcastle side is the makeup of the forwards, the pack. And in the front row, I feel there's nothing much to argue about with the selection of Buman as the hooker. He's experienced and proved himself in representative games. Bakes and Burgess, the two props, both big men and both playing very, very good football. And it's obvious that the selectors have gone for weight in this pack, and they have included in the second row Daly and Richards, with Schofield in the lock position. And this is, I feel, where most of the controversy is centred, around this lock position with Scoey there. He has played for Australia as a lock, but that's 6 years ago, and the passage of years has slowed him down somewhat. I would have been happy to see Schofield in the second row, partnering Daly, with Richards as the reserve forward, and young Don Sargent from Curry, who has done everything asked of him as a lock forward this season for his side, in that position. Sargent probably is a little unfortunate in that there are two excellent goal kickers in Carlson and Pyers also in the team. Otherwise, he'd have had an additional claim for his fine goal kicking. The scrum half, I think, picked himself. Giles has played excellent football this season. An experienced campaigner, gives an excellent service from the scrum, and is always in position to take a pass when the ball comes his way. In the 5/8 position here again, there may be some reasonable doubt, but there is only one other 5/8 that might have been considered ahead of Pyers, I feel, and that is Swars of Souths. But unfortunately, Swars works in Sydney during the week and couldn't possibly train with the team here. He's only played a couple of first-grade games too this season, but on both occasions has gone well. The centres, I think, are as good as we might find. Johnson is playing particularly well, and Brown, of course, Davy Brown, is experienced and a very neat footballer. Winger Horn, Bobby Horn, picked himself, and it's good to see at last Barry Graves get his chance on the wing. Graves does everything that a winger should do. He runs fast, he's elusive, he takes the ball well. When his passage is stopped, he looks for his supports to give the ball to, and he can only see one thing, and that is the try line. There's only one thing I think that may have mitigated against his selection previously. He is of such physique that he looks as though he might snap in the middle at any time. But I think Graves will be quite an asset to the side on Saturday. And then we come to the fullback position, Brian Carlson, and I don't think the selectors could possibly have gone past this fine ex-international. So apart from that fact of Schofield playing lock forward, I feel that this side is one that will give a very good account of itself against the Kiwis on Saturday.
Were you terrified at all during the 4 hours that the escapee was in your house?
No, Peter, not a bit.
What was the most frightening moment?
Well, the most frightening moment was when the prisoner had my husband down.
And what about when he had the gun?
Well, they wrestled, and I jumped into the wrestle and took the gun away from him.
Do you think you'll be able to go to Melbourne to collect the award?
Well, I'm not too happy about that either, really.
Why is that?
But I suppose I will have to now that it's gone this far. I'll have to finish it.
Which do you think is more important, going to collect the award or the work that you have to do around the farm here?
The work I have to do around the farm.
I see.
Donald, what areas of the state are affected by the Mine Subsidence Act?
Well, the Act covers the whole of the state of New South Wales, but there are certain areas which are called proclaimed mine subsidence districts, and they, as they affect us here in Newcastle, mean the southern half of the city of Newcastle and the northern part of the Shire of Lake Macquarie.
Now, what are the provisions of the Act that the Law Society is objecting to?
The main one is that the Mine Subsidence Board constituted under the Act has unfettered powers, and also, and as a corollary to that, there is no appeal from any decision made by the board in any of its functions.
And what is the Law Society proposing? What amendments are you putting up to overcome these objections?
We have several amendments. The first one, of course, is that we say, from a legal point of view, that there should be a tribunal constituted to hear appeals from any and all decisions of the Mine Subsidence Board. We also say that a landowner within a proclaimed mine subsidence district should have the right to contract his property out of the provisions of the Act and thereby be able to build exactly what he wishes. Further to that, we say that a landowner whose property may perchance be not suitable to be insured under the Act should be able to so alter his property that he can bring the property back into the provisions of the Act. We also say that the board should be empowered to issue certificates to interested parties, solicitors and landowners, setting out exactly what restrictions the board has placed on the particular property. We also say that people whose properties are adversely affected by the board's decision should have the right to claim compensation, as have people whose properties are affected under